Hello, it's 10 Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm Ana Cabrera reporting from New York, and we begin with the Justice Department targeting a high-profile Trump adversary, sparking major new concerns about the rule of law in America. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted by a grand jury for making a couple of felonies, they say, a false statement and obstruction of Congress. Now, the case was facing serious doubts from federal prosecutors behind the scenes. And the indictment was handed down just days after President Trump pressured his attorney general to prosecute Comey. Now, legal experts and Democrats warn it reeks of political retribution. But Republicans on the Hill are celebrating the indictment, and so is President Trump, blowing up norms meant to ensure DOJ independence. We expect to hear from the president in minutes when he departs the White House. As for Comey last night, he essentially said, bring it on.
I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Let's discuss with MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian, along with a pair of MSNBC legal analysts, former federal prosecutor Paul Butler, former Manhattan Assistant DA Catherine Christian, and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. Ken, I'm being told that the president is speaking right now on his way out of the White House to head to the Ryder Cup. We're going to do a tape turn, so when he's done, we'll bring that to our viewers here. In the meantime, can you just lay out this indictment for us and your new reporting about how it all went down?
Good morning, Ana. Well, it's relevant that President Trump is speaking because his statements about this case may well feature prominently in this case as the defense seeks to make the point that there's been too much pretrial publicity and that there may be selective and malicious prosecution here. But in terms of how the indictment went down, we were the first to report that it was coming, and it played out pretty much as we expected. Lindsay Halligan, the newly appointed U.S. attorney, remember, installed after Donald Trump forced out the previous U.S. attorney, his own appointee who did not want to bring this case. Lindsay Halligan, we are told, brought the case herself alone before the grand jury yesterday afternoon, and she succeeded in convincing at least 12 grand jurors to indict on 2 counts, although they failed to indict on a 3rd count of false statements. So you have the 1 false statements charge, another charge of obstructing Congress, all of this based on 5-year-old testimony. The statute of limitations was poised to lapse on Tuesday for this. And at issue really is James Comey's assertion that he did not authorize someone, we believe Andrew McCabe, his deputy, to leak to the Wall Street Journal a story, and McCabe had said at some point that Comey did authorize it. And what we don't know is what new evidence, if any, that they have to bolster these charges, because this is a situation that has been parsed over by an inspector general and a previous special counsel, and no charges were filed. It's also important to note that no career prosecutor in that office or anywhere else in the Justice Department signed the indictment. Only Lindsay Halligan did, who, again, has never been a prosecutor. She's an insurance lawyer. Comey, of course, is asserting his innocence, and this is being seen as a watershed moment for the Justice Department. This case obviously is being celebrated by Donald Trump and his supporters as vindication for them and their long criticism of James Comey. But among current and former DOJ officials that I talked to, they are seeing this as a crisis moment where they believe their organization has been politicized and has been forced to do something that is not justified by the facts and the law, Ana.
Yeah, Ken, just to underline, you mentioned that Halligan was the person who signed this indictment, and that in itself is a bit unusual as I understand it. But there was also the fact that she presented the case to the grand jury, right? How unusual is that? And there was some awkward moments with the judge. Fill us in.
Yeah, it's incredibly unusual for a U.S. attorney to do that, particularly one who has just gotten on the job and has no criminal experience. I mean, she didn't even know where the grand jury room was. She probably had to be shown where it was. There was a little awkwardness in the courtroom because 2 different versions of the indictment, as I understand it, were presented, and the judge questioned what was going on and noted that Halligan had signed both of them. It had to do with the confusion, I think, over the 3rd count being no-billed by the grand jury. But that just underscored just how new she is at this. And it's raising questions, Anna, Who is going to prosecute this case? Is it going to be Lindsay Halligan, who has no prosecutorial experience? Will they have to bring in somebody from the outside? Because it appears that nobody inside that office, the Eastern District of Virginia, is prepared to do it. We should also note that one member of that office was James Comey's son-in-law, who resigned immediately after this indictment was returned.
And Catherine, with all of that backstory, how does this indictment look to you?
It's a sorry state, because it's clear, and the defense will argue this, that this indictment was brought because the president demanded it. He directed that it happen. And Mr. Comey has said he wants a trial. Before that trial, his lawyers are going to try very hard to get this indictment dismissed. Why? Because of selective prosecution. He clearly was, they will argue, targeted in bad faith. He was singled out. Vindictive prosecution, retaliation for some perceived wrongdoing he did against President Trump. Overwhelming prejudicial pretrial publicity, the statements that the president has made in Truth Social, just yesterday calling him a bad and sick person, the FBI director making public statements. So even before there's a trial, this defense team is going to try to dismiss this indictment. And it's very sad when you think that instead of prosecuting because a crime has been committed, you're picking a person to go after and then prosecuting him for a perceived wrongdoing against you is a payback.
So, Lisa, we have covered other cases of other high-profile players who face similar charges. How often is a conviction actually in a case with these types of charges? And is this particular case different in your view?
What do you mean by these types of charges, right? Because we're talking about false statement
the
or obstruction. We have seen lots of convictions on the basis of false statements. I can think of one very high-profile false statement case involving Roger Stone, who was an advisor to now President Trump and then candidate Trump. On the other hand, when we talk about these charges, as Catherine was just noting, they don't usually arise in circumstances like this. So I hate to compare this to other situations in the past, because I don't think, even though the charges are the same, the situations are like. And if I can, I want to add one other thing, which is that not only are the statements of people like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi prejudicial, but they are against the rules of the local courts.